Hi Stampers, it's Lisa. Welcome. I'm sorry it took me a little bit to get here, but I think it's going to be worth it. We do have a super fun card today. Remember a little while back we did the vertical bandstand that used the sunrise sailing bundle? Well, this time we're going to flip that fold on its side and we're going to do it in landscape version. And I just loved this designer series paper and wanted to pair it with something, and the butterfly just totally went with it. So I'm excited to show you that this is the card we're making today. It is a landscape style bandstand card. So let's go ahead and get started since I'm already late. Okay, so here we are down on my desk. Sorry, I had technical issues as usual. I was trying to get them fixed before I went live. Hopefully things are all good. And yes, I do leave on my vacation tomorrow. I'm going to New Mexico. I will be watching my foster granddaughter for a week while my daughter goes on a business trip. My daughter is a field superintendent for an elevator company. And so she carries a large territory and she has to go down to El Paso from Albuquerque and will be gone a week. So I will have a 4-year-old all to myself for a week. So pray for me. That might need some help. It's been a while because my other granddaughter's 16. Amazing. So these are the colors we're going to use. We're going to use Fresh Freesia and Balmy Blue. I have those ready to go. As I said, Beautiful Butterflies is the bundle we're using. I've already went ahead and die cut the butterfly itself, and I did 2 of them because I also thought this was pretty. So you guys can help me decide which one you want to use. This foil already comes pre-embossed. So I didn't do that on my own. That foil paper comes in 3 colors and 3 designs. Okay, I've got the circle it's going to mount on. Now we're down to the designer series paper. Oops, and the body. For that. Here we go. So that body's going to work regardless of which butterfly we use. The base itself is kind of an unusual size. We're going to go with 5 3/8 by 4 1/4. And the reason it's just a little bit shy is that we are going to be wrapping these pieces around there. And so there's going to be a little bit that sticks over for the wrap part. And so I needed that extra 1/16 of an inch in order to keep the overall card within the 5 1/2, so it's all going to fit in the envelope. Okay, because we are sticking with the A2 size. The top and bottom straps that we're using here are 7 inches by 1 1/4, and I have one for the top and one for the bottom. Let's see. For the back of the card, I have a piece of, this time it's Fresh Freesia. Here I have Blackberry Bliss. 4 inches by 3 3 3/4. 4 inches by 3 3 3/8. Okay, so just a little bit shy. Oh, that's right, because we took the little shaving off of the end, so the middle part is going to be a little bit shy. So that did come down to 1/8. So 3 5/8 by 4. So that's going to go there. So 3 3/8 by 3 3/4. That's going to go over the top. So that will be the back of our card. And then I've got a bunch of designer series paper that's going to help us decorate our card. So on the inside of the card, like back in here, looks like I changed up the designer series paper we're using. I pre-cut these a while ago because I've already filmed all 4 videos for my lives while I'm gone. So those will be scheduled and will go off as normal. So this one is 3 3/8 by 4, no, 3 5/8 by 4. That's going to go right in there. And then for the 2 sides, these are 5/8. Right. Maybe these are the skinnier ones to go there. This is 3/4 of an inch here, so this will be, gosh, okay, 1/2 inch. I'm gonna need to go over these measurements all again because it's getting confusing, isn't it? I'm confusing myself. That's what messed up technology does to me. It just throws me for a loop and makes me all confused. So the base itself was 4 1/4 by 5 3/8. I came in 3/4 of an inch from either side and scored. So these are 1/2 inch by 4. That left me with a middle section that was 3 7/8. So this is 3 5/8 by 4 to go in there. Okay, then for our strips, we have some designer series paper that's going to go on here as well. So I have these little pieces that are 1 inch tall and 1 3/4. And these are 1 1/2. Okay, so 1 1/2 by 1 for these 4, and then 1 3/4 by 1 for the middle. And I'm sure when I cut them, what I did is I did a 1 inch strip and chopped them so that my pattern would line up, but it doesn't seem to be doing that for me at the moment. But I'm not going to waste time on that because that's not going to work. Okay, that might be it. Okay, so there's my pattern lined up. Okay, then for the back of the card, I have those strips that go right here. So these were the ones that were 5/8, right? Yes, they're 5/8 by 4. So they're going to cover up here. And we can use the floral side or we can use the green. I think I'll probably go with the green for the back. Okay, so those are all the pieces that we have. And it's going to go together fairly easy. This is one of those fun fold cards where it's not really complicated. We just have a lot of pieces. And so I'm going to go ahead and adhere these onto our strips. Okay, so I'm going to put these 3 on and I'm going to put this 6 on. I'm going to hold off this time on doing these extra ones on the back side because last time when I did the vertical one, I put the designer series paper on the back. Like when I flipped this over, I went ahead and adhered this and I put my designer series paper here. But when I fold over the straps, top and bottom, it left that white section. So I'm not going to do those this time. We're going to leave that till afterwards so that the designer series paper will cover up the flaps that make it stick to the back. Have I lost anybody yet? Okay. So I'm gonna use liquid glue because, like I said, I'm a little stressed from the technology being funky on me. I have it freezing on me. I don't know why. Hopefully it's not freezing at your end. There we go. Okay, so these pieces again were 1 1/4 by 7, scored at 3/4 of an inch, 2 1/2, 4 1/2, and 6 1/4. They're both the same, top and bottom. I will be doing an kind of like a virtual retreat. It's kind of like my online classes. I'm doing it with the same gals that I do or several of the same gals I do the customer appreciation PDF with now. I don't know if you've seen the new PDFs I'm doing for placing an order in May. We did the Cheers and Sips bundle, and for an order in June, you will get the Notes and Totes bundle tutorial. We will be doing a Notes and Totes virtual retreat. So it's going to be very similar to my online class. That's just what they were calling it, but it's basically 12 cards. I will pre-cut everything. It will use the Notes and Totes bundle. You will get a couple half packs of designer series paper and some embellishments and all the pre-cut pieces to make 12 cards, 2 of each one. So registration is going to be opening up for that soon. I've had people asking me when I'm going to do the next online class, and I just haven't gotten around to it. And then when these ladies said, let's do one in combination, we'll all chip in and create cards, I went, well, there we go. We'll do that. So I have already designed 2 of my cards that I'm contributing to the group. I think you're going to like them. I'm doing them with different designer series paper, but this is one of them. And so we're using a technique in the background that's kind of a faux suede. And then, of course, I'm doing a fun fold. But I made my samples and they said, oh, that's not the designer series paper we're using. So I had to change them up, but they're still cute. I still think you're going to like them. And does everybody know about the sale that's starting up at midnight? They are having a sale on sweets. And when we first started talking about how sweets are going to go on sale with a kind of a BOGO idea, if buy one, get one. Obviously, if you buy one sweet, you get the second sweet for half off. That's obviously a fantastic deal, and you can save a whole lot of money that way. But some people are saying, I don't want 2 whole sweets. Well, you don't have to. It's all sweet products. So if there are 2 bundles that you like, and those bundles are included in sweets, then that would be a buy one, get one 50% off. Or if you like the designer series paper, you could do the same there. Just if you were going to bundle them together, obviously the cheaper one's going to be the one that the system will do the half off on. But that's going to be a great way to save some money in June, and that does kick off at midnight. So my newsletter will go out and it will talk about it. And there's also a scrapbooking retreat that Stampin' Up! Is doing. That's pretty exciting. So I hope you're on my newsletter list and you will find out all about that. So I've got my designer series paper decorated on there now, all except these two back strips that I did not want to do yet. And then we need to do a little bit of stamping, and then we can assemble our card. So I'm going to bring in fresh freesia for stamping some butterflies, and then I'm going to do the sentiment in balmy blue. A couple blocks. Because they are words, that's a great time to take advantage of the fact that there's grid paper with straight lines right in front of me. And I'm going to make sure that my words are straight on a grid line and my block is straight on a grid line, so that hopefully I'm stamping nice and straight. And this one's a pretty decent shape, so it's not going to go all funny, but I was saying also last time that I always put my stamp down on my surface and then pick it up with the block, because then it kind of takes to its natural shape. So again, I've got my grid paper aligned with my cardstock. I'm doing this backwards. Words in blue. Butterflies in. So I'm using balmy blue. And I love the glass mat that we have. That's what's underneath my stamping surface here. Otherwise, if you're stamping with photopolymer stamps, you want to be sure that you have some kind of cushioning underneath them, because they don't have the firm foam that our cling mount stamps have. You'll notice when we have cling mount stamps, there's foam included. So since all we have basically here is the red rubber part in exchange for the photopolymer, we don't have that foam. So you can put foam underneath of your stamping to give you that good crisp image. But the glass mat that Stampin' Up! Offers takes the place of that. And for some reason, I don't need the foam underneath it as long as I'm using my glass mat. Worry about messing up my grid paper today, because I think it's time to replace it. It's getting fairly dirty, so we can go ahead and stamp on it. I'll swap it out when we're done. Oh, one more thing I want to do is I want to swirl a little bit of blue behind the butterfly. So I'm going to bring in one of our blending brushes. I love our blending brushes. They have these really super fine bristles on here. And I kind of swirl it on the pad. I'm using my finger to press a little bit down on the head of the brush, picking up some ink. And then I start out by swirling on my desk to get rid of any kind of roughness. And usually I will swirl onto the project but since I don't want it on the edges, I am going to start out in the middle. But I'm going to start out with a really light touch, and then I'm going to press down on it a little harder as I go. I always say it's easier to add more than it is to try to take it off, right? Just make it pop a little bit. Okay, someone's saying the sweets she's interested are out of stock. You'll have to let me know which ones. Send me a message. We do have an inventory status report where I can check when those are scheduled to come back in. I would guess they're coming back in soon. Send me a message and I will look it up. And you can also, as everybody noticed that now in the online store, if something is out of stock, that there's a little thing that you can push that says, please notify me when it comes back. That was a fun new feature I like. That's something us as demonstrators had asked for because, you know, other stores are able to do that, notify you when something's back in stock. So now our system does it. Okay, so I've got all my layers on here and we're ready to start assembling. So what I want to do is I want to take one of my strips and I want to flush it with the top of my card base. And then, as I said, it's going to be just a little bit narrower than the base. Like the base is a little bit narrower than the strip. So when I come back here and line it up, you'll notice that I have just a little bit of wiggle room on either side where you can see that I'm not going to interfere with that score line. The score line has really good clearance on either side. It's only like a 1/16 of an inch, but it's enough that it's not going to bother things. And so I'm just going to put adhesive on this little section here, and then I'm going to fold it over and then be sure that I am flush with the top. Okay. And luckily my designer series paper is one I didn't have to worry about orientation. If the designer series paper you're using has a right side up, like I did with these original flowers, they had, I had to make sure they were growing right side up. I didn't mix and match them. Again, aligning with the bottom, making sure my score line has clearance here. Oops, a little too much glue there. I know what I can do. We're going to use these strips on the side, so I'm just going to take and pick up a little bit of that glue. One of the gals who comes to my in-person classes, every time she inks or glues up designer series paper, she puts the glue on, one side, and then she takes her other piece and glues them, sticks them together and then pulls them apart. So she has half the glue on each piece. And I thought that was kind of smart. She just was having trouble getting it to ooze out, the right amount of glue. So she just shared between her two pieces. Okay. Now on the front of the card, we have our circle. I don't know if you can see that, but I've got dimensionals just popping up the circle. So all I did was take a couple of dimensionals, and I'm going to put them on this center section here. I'm going to keep them kind of to the top of the designer series paper and then to the bottom of the designer series paper up here. And then I can put my circle over. And the circle is cut using the Spotlight on Nature dies. which are awesome because they go with everything. And they're decorative, which is fun because I use my stylish shapes a lot. And they're just regular stitch circles, but these have some pretty designs on the edges, giving it a little bit of something extra. So this is the butterfly out of the designer series paper. It's the same exact paper as back here. So we can go with that option, or we can go with the foil one. I'm trying to see. It looks like we had votes for the DSP butterfly, so I'm going to go with that one. That's so pretty. So we can choose to either add some glue under there, or we can just add a couple glue dots. Depends on how much of the butterfly you want to allow to kind of like flap. Sometimes I will leave the butterfly loose in several sections because I want the wings to have a little bit of freedom to bat around so that it looks, you know, like it's fluttering. And then for the body, of course, I've used the adhesive sheets. There we go. There is our designer series paper butterfly and the foil butterfly. So this one here is Floral Impressions, was this designer series paper. And the other one, maybe they're both the same, just different patterns. Like I said, my brain is not working. Technology was not my friend. Yes, there we go. They are both out of the same designer series paper pack, just different patterns. So that was for one and that was on the other, but beautiful papers. I really like this one. This is one of my samples from my product share because you get a 6x6 of each of the papers. Okay. So there we are. We are done with our fun bandstand style card. This one is landscape, whereas the other one was vertical. Here it is. This was the other one. So same idea. This time we used acetate as our middle section to keep that you know, the two together, whereas this time we were able to span it with the circle. So both will be in volume 3 of my Fun Fold book. We've been working on it. So that is coming. Let's see, I'm trying to remember what I'm doing on Monday. I think this one. Like I said, they're pre-filmed. I have to schedule them. It looks pretty boring from the outside, but we open it up and it pops out and does this kind of step thing. So that's one of our upcoming fun folds for when I'm gone. Oh, that will be Monday. So, right, we have Thursday first. Did I schedule it out there on YouTube? That will be Monday's card. On Thursday, we will do our Stamping Made Simple, and we will have an easier card. I know what we're doing. We're doing the shirts because it's Father's Day. So for that one, for Thursday, we're going to be doing some paper piecing, kind of. So we're doing a shirt like this, and then we are doing another shirt like this. So come back on Thursday for our Father's Day shirt cards, and on Monday for the B card, which is a fold closed step pop-up card. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Bye.